For people who want to know what is the KeithAndrewNetwork, the whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, so prove them and still amount to something.
Hey everyone, I just had an amazing podcast interview with Keith Andrews. He is so awesome, such a sweetheart. At first it was so random and strange to get a notification from a man I never knew, but risking life and you gotta make new friends. So I had a great chat with him and I think I just made a cool friend today. And I would highly recommend anyone who's open-minded and interested just to hear him out and chat up with him, because he's always intrigued and always willing to give free advice to all of his viewers. So give it a try. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. Today, we sit down with professional actress Cindy Wei. That's right, Cindy Wei is a guest on the Keith Andrew Network. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that bell icon to be notified when brand new interviews are up and ready. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure to like and subscribe. This video will be also available on Twitter and LinkedIn. So that being said, it's an honor to have you as a guest, and tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Cindy Lee. I am an actress, model. I do a little bit of voiceover stunts, and I am training to be an on-set intimacy coordinator at the moment.
Oh, that's really cool. So the first question I want to ask you is, when you were in college, were you a study nerd or party animal?
I was a study nerd. I wanted to be a party animal, but I guess no one really invited me to the party, so I couldn't be a party animal.
And what did you major in?
I majored in theater.
Oh, well, that makes sense. That's actually one way to become an actress, you know. Don't mind me, I just had a brain fart. You know, most actresses do get like a bachelor's or a master's in theater, but what was your plan B? If you didn't, say your plans didn't work out for acting, did you have a plan B plan?
I did. If it wasn't going to work with acting, I was going to do nursing, which is what I actually fell into in the beginning of my career. And I wasn't happy. Well, with the pandemic, a lot of things shut down, so I had to step into nursing. And I just wasn't happy. So one day I got a call from CSI Vegas, and I was working Monday through Friday, and eventually I had to resign from my nursing job to pursue acting 1,000%.
Now, is CSI Vegas the TV show, or is that a name of like a company?
Yeah, the actual TV show that's from Paramount Studios, and they're on CBS. So yes, the television.
Well, it's an honor and privilege to have one of those stars on my show. I really appreciate that. You know, with that being said, you know, I had a lot of people from CSI on my show. You're actually the first to be for CSI Las Vegas. Sorry. I had Las Vegas on my mind. You know, Vegas, but I had, you know, New York, I had Miami, I actually had Blue Bloods. So I actually had a lot of great shows, but you're actually the first one from CSI Vegas that on my show.
Well, we're going to cross that off today.
No, absolutely. So the first question I want to ask you is, talk about stereotypes. But the first one I want to ask you is, who influenced you to become an actress? And how many years have you been acting?
I've been acting for 7 years now, and I think the person that influenced me, I'm just really stuck between like Angelina Jolie and Rachel McAdams. I love them. I mean, obviously they're white women and Asian, but they've influenced me in a way of like, I do feel like I look like them with, you know, the big lips and the soft eyes. So they like, I see myself in them.
Well, it's always good, you know, to use people for an inspiration, but it's always good to think outside the box and say, I'm going to make an example and then people can follow in my footsteps.
I would hope that's what I'm being perceived as. I mean, and it goes back to like, I am Asian, but a lot of people see me as mixed. And I always hear all the time, like, oh, you look like my sister's best friend. You look like my old friend from high school, or blah, blah, blah. I hear that so much. Like, I look like someone they know. And that's what I'm being cast as a lot. The girl next door, the girl you just see around the block.
Well, with that being said, let's talk about stereotypes and how you broke the label to break through with your acting career. First one I'm going to ask you is, what is the biggest change you want to make in your acting career?
The biggest change right now is I want people to understand that Asian people don't have one particular look. Like, I think a lot of times when people want to cast Asian women, they like want this tiny, tiny girl. And I mean, to be honest, I'm from Cali. I was born here in America. I'm a curvy woman. So I don't get casted a lot as Asian. I actually get casted as Latina because of my curves. So that's what I would want to like break down in this industry, that there is no one specific body type for Asian women.
No, I agree. And you've also mentioned that you are a model and we both wear glasses. But when you think of models, you don't usually think of people who wear glasses. Well, sometimes, I mean, they wear sunglasses, but not actual glasses for the most part.
Yeah, no, you've got a point, because I mean, whenever I'm doing film or the runway, I never think to put on my glasses. I mean, mainly because the reflection will ruin the whole TV movie magic. But yeah, it is a point of like, not a lot of people wear glasses. It's not portrayed a lot.
It's funny, I always wanted to be a professional wrestler. Now, I can't wrestle myself out of a wet paper bag, but there's absolutely no reason why eventually someone has bad eyesight. Give me an example I'm trying to make. There's a wrestler named Titus O'Neil. He actually started his wrestling career when he was wearing goggles. So, wow. I mean, if you wear goggles and make them fast and like, oh, those goggles look badass, then you can take your attention away from the goggle and make it, okay, it's an accessory. It's part of, you can say it's a mask. There's no reason why. Sure. No, go ahead.
No, for sure. Like, you're definitely like making me think that if I think I had better eyesight, I probably would have like been a pilot, to be honest with you. So it does like restrict you.
That's true. But like I said, labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. To prove to them, it can stand out to something. So, hey, if you wear goggles and you're still capable, getting over with the audience, regardless of what other avenues you take, the biggest battle is building an audience and getting over with them. Once the audience is on your side, then you have it made.
Yeah, true.
But the other question I want to ask you is, you brought up a good point. You mentioned that, you do get cast part, for most part, get casting parts for Spanish roles. But in a way, that's not a bad thing. A casting call is a casting call. You don't mind me if I'm actually turn this light on.
Sorry. Oh, can you actually see me now? Sorry.
Don't worry about it. I was actually in the dark. But the question is, I give you an example. There's certain people that say, oh, we are looking for, an African American for this role. This role is only written for a certain person. But if you have the energy and charisma of saying, okay, I can be flexible, let me at least try to portray this role. I may not be who you're looking for, but that's, that brings up the labels. It's just because you do an Asian role doesn't mean it has to be just for any an actor or actress. Giving
Yeah,
that
yeah,
person giving that person an opportunity, it's saying, why not just see how it fits?
yeah. No, that's it's a catch-22 for sure. Like, I am so grateful that people are even looking at me and they're not putting me in a box in the sense of like, oh, she could be this, she could be that. She's so flexible. I'm extremely grateful. But it is like disappointing sometimes when I've had many moments where people have wanted to cast me as Latina, but then they see my last name and they see it's Asian and they're like, we're not going to do that. And then some people are willing to cast me as Asian, but then they look at me physically and they're like, oh, but she doesn't look Asian. So most of the times I'll just play ethnically ambiguous. It'll never be like Latin or Asian. It'll just always be ethnically ambiguous. So it's nice to be put into those many possibilities and many doors. Yeah, it's nice. Just sometimes very little, 1% of the time, I wish I was just recognized for what I actually am, which is Asian.
No, absolutely. To be honest, when I look at you, I do see like you are a little mixed, but that's not a horrible thing. It's like, you know what? Because you have the looks of being mixed, you can categorize that as I can conquer two roles at the same time. If you just like put your hair up, you put a different face on, then you can actually play two characters without telling anyone.
Oh yeah.
No, but it's a real compliment. It looked like, half Spanish, half Asian, because you can conquer both roles and you can get your foot through the door and you receive so many different opportunities as well.
Yes. I mean, anything I am accepting. I rarely turn anything down.
So the next one I want to ask you is, what is your claim to fame?
My claim to fame? I don't think I have that yet. I mean, I don't know. It might be modeling, I have to say. I want to do acting, but it might be modeling because I think a lot of people like my face more when it's still, if that makes sense.
Well, the similar question I want to ask is, what are you most likely to become famous for?
Yeah. I think it's going to be modeling because I'm just getting more work modeling. Yeah, I mean, I'm not happy about it, but I'm extremely grateful and I am extremely flattered that people even like me and my beauty.
One thing I do want to stay on is breaking the stereotypes. And I do have some ideas I'd like to talk to you off the air. When you walk into the very first audition, I want to go from the first time to every time that you go in. When you walked in, a lot of people say you have the first 10 seconds to make an impression on somebody, but when it's reverse, do people usually size you up and say, okay, this is what I expect from you, or by the looks, this is what roles I would recommend? With everything that you accomplish the very first time walking to an audition, has anyone spat off at the top of their head and say, this is the role I want you to do? Were you like ever sized up?
I was one time. It was for Hulu, actually. I walked into the audition room and they made me read the script, but they knew right away. Like, they were like, yeah, we want you for this role. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we never finished. And I think because it got pushed back so much, the director got frustrated and he just gave up. So everything we had recorded kind of just got thrown in the trash. But that was a cool experience to like walk in a room and like instantly they're like, we know what we want to put you as. And they only had 3 characters that day. So they crossed that first one off immediately when they saw me.
Let me ask you the next one, because we're still living during this. How has the pandemic impacted your career and have you benefit from it?
I benefit from it a lot. I benefit from it when I was a nurse, and I really benefit from it when I was an actress. because a lot of people left and a lot of people didn't know if they could pursue acting, which, let's be honest, it does not pay the bills. It gave so much more space to people who wanted to really pursue this.
No, I agree. Same thing from a talk show. It's like, yes, it's part of me that wants to go out and work, but at the same time, you get to sit back and do things that you normally don't have time to work on, focus on.
Definitely. There was a moment where I was still nursing and still doing acting. And I really had to decide, I talked about it with my boss and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm very stressed out. I don't know how to do acting, work out, take care of my house, be a good wife. I don't know how to do all of this. It's a lot. And my boss honestly said, look, we love you. We do. But I think this is what you're meant to do, which is acting. And I think you need to focus on that, because he just said it straight up. He was like, I don't think you're meant to be here and you need to go, it was a hard pill to swallow, but it was really sweet of him. And I've just been better at my job ever since. And I've been a well-balanced, happy person.
No, I used to be a cashier. I won't mention where, but even the customers say, you walk around at these other cashiers, they look so miserable, like they have a stick up their ass or something, and they're like, they hate the job, they hate the customers. But the reason I came to your line is because you have a smile on your face. And it's like, well, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, well, I'm really thinking sarcastic things to get me through the day.
Yeah.
But you have to enjoy what you're doing. If people say about me, Keith, you have a warm sense of humor, you have a great smile. That's why people always come to your line compared to someone else's, because you always look like you're happy and ready to engage with that person.
Yeah, and that's why I had to quit nursing, because I wasn't being engaged anymore. I was losing my bedside manners. I was just getting miserable. And I can't do that as a nurse. You have to really be there for people and take care of them, because they're at their worst point right now. And so I had to just step away. And thank God, I had a job, which was acting Monday through Friday, because a lot of people pray for that and they don't get that all the time.
I agree. Now, I do have a couple other questions for you, but the biggest one, do you have someone representing you? And how do you go about finding the right one? Because there's so many people that say, hey, you want to be featured on Fox News, CNN. I know who wants to be on Fox News, but who wants to be on all these different networks? Give me 15 seconds of your time. And I came across this one company, 99. And do you know anything about them?
I do know about 99. So personally, first question, I do not have representation right now. I am still looking, still applying, because that's the thing about representation. It's not about me liking you. We have to both like each other. Yeah. You have to see what's so good about me so you can tell all of these other casting directors and agents. But no, I don't have representation right now. I am very open if anyone wants me. But I've been doing it by myself. I've been very successful by myself. I really look every day. I submit every day on casting networks, Actors Access, and even Craigslist, which I think that's where we met. But yeah, I just submit every day and I'm getting lucky. And that's the thing about getting booked. You have to constantly be like, I'm going to get better. I want to get better. What do I have to do to get better? But back to 99, I did get an interview from 99 one time. I personally don't like them. I'm personally not interested in them because of how they do things isn't how an agency should do things. First of all, you shouldn't have to. Okay, so let me just talk about the process. So first,
you have to pay them.
Huh?
You have to pay them.
Well, yeah. But we'll talk about that. But first, you have to sign up, and the way they advertise is, oh my God, we're gonna get you on this this big time TV show. You just have to submit here, blah, blah, blah. So they lie to you and deceive you right away because you don't even get the audition. It's the audition for their agency. And then you go into the Zoom link where there's like 500 people in there. And then they talk about some quick things that every agency talks about. So it's bland, boring, generic. And then they get you there for like an hour. And then towards the end, they're like, hey, you have to pay us so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. You can only go to our studio. You can only go to our auditions and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not how it should go. The way it usually goes is you apply to so many agents, they'll come back to you and say, oh, we like this about you, or hey, can you send us more stuff with your work? And then they'll schedule an in-person meeting with you or Zoom, because I know that's what's in nowadays. And they'll talk to you. It's usually very one-on-one. It's not like 50 people versus one casting director. It's very one-on-one. And then most of the time you are going to need to pay for some things in the sense of like updating your headshots. Maybe if you want to, it depends on how big you want to be. If you want to be a average actor, yeah, you might need to update your headshots, update your profile. That's it. If you want fame, you got to have a stylist. You got to invest in your marketing, your PR team. There's a lot to do. And it's not just, oh, I pick up an agent, this and that. It's a monthly process. And it's a lot of unpaid hours.
No, I agree. My experience was 99 or 99, whatever the hell it is. You're like, oh, we come in, only a couple minutes. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm still meeting. Talk one-on-one. And next thing I know, I'm in this Zoom meeting, cameras off. You can't see anyone except for whoever the hell is talking. And they're like, oh, message in the chat. And it's, oh, by the way, you have to pay a fee of $200. And my brother always told me, and a lot of actors say, you do not pay someone to represent you. Once you make money, they make money. Unless you have sucker on your forehead and like, here's $200. It's like I was someone gave me threw money at me. And then it's kind of like, as you said, you need headshots. You need to get yourself. I do that every single day. I'm always,
go ahead. I think that's what 99 doesn't understand. Like they're always say, oh, you have to pay for our headshots, our acting studios, our teachings, blah, blah, blah. But it's like for example, I went to 99 and I have 5 years of training under my belt. And they kind of looked at it like, oh, none of that matters. You have to do our training. And I was like, oh, no, baby. I've done Meisner, Stanford. I've done Udahagen. I've done all this stuff. Don't discredit everything I've done just because it's not your teachings. A good agent should know where you are and meet you where you are and build you from where you are. That's what I'm saying.
No, I agree. Now, you mentioned a couple of names. I do want to know, for me, and our listeners, what were those companies that you did mention?
What companies?
Oh, you went down the whole list.
Oh, like for what to do to get started?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You have to start with your headshots. You have to start with your reel. If you don't have a reel, I would say get your monologue going. There's always a voice reel, which you can always find online, like get a quick commercial, do it on your phone. What else is there? You always getting like meal prepping is great. Cause I don't want to be rude as an actor, but there is looks that they're going for and they want everyday healthy roles. Some people are good at being the skinny anorexic druggie, or some people are good at being the fat adult boyfriend. Like, hey, if that works for you, cool. But I'm in it to be in the big screen. And let's be honest, that requires me getting into shape, eating right. Because that's what my money is. It's my body and it's how I portray myself, if that makes sense.
No, I agree. Now, I have a couple questions off the air, but I want you to be brutally honest to our audience and to your fan base. When I first approached you to be a guest in my talk show, what made you say yes? How do you feel now? And would you recommend it to anyone out there?
Of course. When we first met, I was like, this is random, but that's the thing about this acting world. It's very random. And yeah, you hit me up out of the blue, and I think a lot of people could be like, this is kind of weird. I don't know this man. But that's what I tell a lot of my girlfriends in this industry. You can't be scared because strange men are going to approach you. You're going to lose a lot of offers like that. I guess that's like kind of in the dating world too. But you got to just be strong and know that it's going to be okay. And you never like made me feel like you were threatening or I should be afraid. So yeah, and our conversation now is I'm having a great time. So I would definitely recommend other people talk to you. Yeah, so your nature is very welcoming. It's not intimidating at all.
No, absolutely. I mean, hey, I say stupid things, but that's only because I'm socially awkward, part of my disability.
Yeah.
But I give you an example. Well, I can actually tell you off the air. But, there's certain things, what I look for. Usually, when I first started my talk show, I'm like, okay, I need people, I know this person, that person. And I'm like, okay, well, let's try something different. Now, when I look for someone, usually I try to do double interviews, group interviews, unless the person is known for something. Like you're from CSI Vegas, and that's something that really stands out. But if it's just like, oh, hey, I went to school with this person, and I need like one of those fillers, then I just bring them on the show. Mm-hmm. But I try to market it. It's like, what makes this person unique? Why do I want to interview this person? And like I mentioned earlier, and I know I need an actual green screen from the mic. I interview people from Blue Bus, CBS, NBC, and there's so many different things out there. And that's like, okay. And then professional wrestlers. Interviewing a random person and people are like, who the hell is this person? And so you need something that stands out and jumps out at you. So yes, I am for giving people opportunities, absolutely. But I want it to be like, what is the reason for having you on the show? You know what I mean? It's kind of like a quick quote, or a catch-22, but everyone keeps saying.
Yeah. I mean, what I've heard, because I've done a few podcasts this year. I mean, thank God, I'm having a great time. I think podcasts are in now. It's funny because last year I used to say podcasts are not the thing. Let's stop this. Let's not try to make it a thing. But everyone loves it. Everyone loves just hearing another person talk and to like not. I think people talk and they feel embarrassed, but to hear from somebody else, it's like expanding their vocabulary in that way. But I've honestly heard from a lot of people that it's hard to find women to do their podcasts. And I think it goes back to what I said earlier. If you're going to shut down every opportunity because a strange man approaches you, you're going to close a lot of doors. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And let's throw it out there. I went to this group of Asian actors. I'm looking for Asian women to be on my show. And the reason for that is I want to talk about stereotypes and breaking into the business and how you overcame that. And everyone writes a great story. And everyone keeps messaging me back. It's like, why do you just want Asian women on the show? Because right now that's my focus on, because I'm looking for certain people that my audience would like to hear from. Overall, I interview every single person, but for right now, I'm like, let's try this. And if it doesn't work, at least you can say you tried it.
I know exactly what you're talking about because, no, for sure. How do I say this without like offending anyone? Asian women get scared easily. And I think it's a part of us being sexualized. Like there are postings out there, like a great perfect example is a lot of egg donors look for Asian women and they like to target Asian women. Why? Because we're not quick to share our eggs or we're not quick to share ourselves. So I know it's a thing. Like and especially, correct me if I'm wrong, you're white, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like another thing. A lot of Asian women are scared of white men because it's like, it's a huge thing with people fetishizing Asian women. And so when you put anything about Asian women or Asian posts, it's like, what does he really want? What are his real intentions? But people don't understand. It's like, yeah, you're Asian, and yeah, I understand you're being fetishized, but you got to let that go. You got to let that mentality go, because that's a whole 1% of the population that thinks that way. It's not everyone, I promise you. But no, I have seen that from my other Asian girlfriends. I personally let it go because I am hungry for opportunities, and I'm not going to slow down my momentum because of fear. It's not a part of me.
I agree 100%. Well, wrapping up the Keith Andrew Network, make sure to watch on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Brand new interviews, brand new content on the Keith Andrew Network. Stay tuned. And until we meet again, thank you and have a good night.